It's called Civil Disturbances. And it basically gets into how they're preparing for full-scale riots in CONUS within the continental United States. They talk about demonstrations, protests. They talk about anti-WTO protests. They talk about ethnic hatred, civil unrest from situations, urban situations that arise out of highly emotional social and economic issues. The most shocking aspect of it is they are talking about lethal response. There's a part in the document which is entitled Lethal Response for Crowd Control, Sniper Response. Remember, this is both outside and within the United States. And it says sniper response, ensure that target leaders or troublemakers are targeted, exploit the psychological effect of an attack. They talk about escalate gradually, starting with a small caliber single round and work up to a large caliber automatic. And this is targeting, quote, unarmed civilians within the United States.
Okay, so here's the headline. Army prepares to shoot and kill unarmed civilians. This is Nazi Germany. And when did this document come out, Paul?
It came out publicly 2 days ago. It's been on the internet for 2 days. But also,
so it's an update to Civil Disturbances 3-39.33 that we got 2 years ago that Drudge linked to, where they were training to process us into the camps via our Social Security numbers. This is what I see happening, Paul, and I've been saying it for months intensely. Again, they sell the public on martial law because cities are burning, but then the main training is for the Tea Party and gun owners, and then next phase, the gun confiscation begins on the nationwide basis like Katrina. Civil war breaks out, and the police and military are already honed and ready to follow orders. That's why the city, who's been training with the military, remember 2 years ago, they're all around St. Louis. That's why they were targeting leaders and our reporters with the 223s and aiming at them, because this was obviously federal training to decapitate the press. My God, Paul. And you're saying in the document they talk about shooting unarmed Americans.
Yeah, I mean, it's lethal response for crowd control, and it's within the United States against, quote, unarmed civilians.
That is an unprecedented statement. When is your article coming out? I am blown away.
I'll try and get it up before the end of the show, but they've also got a diagram of the human body, and they talk about deadly force final target areas, and they basically highlight the back of the neck, the head, the heart, and the spine as the key target areas which will induce unconsciousness, serious bodily injury, shock, or death from the snipers, from the high caliber weapons that they talk about earlier.
Well, this is treason, ladies and gentlemen, because again, it'll all look reasonable when the cities are burning, as I've said 1,000 times, literally, but it's all scripted. And then we're all supposed to just play along with the giant scripted event. Paul, is there any way in your view to avert this?
I think if they continue to push it, I mean, it's coming to a head, isn't it? In fact, what's funny about this document is it says that, let me get the exact quote.
Oh, my God, I just found chapter 3-13 on how to kill unarmed U.S. citizens targeting the spine and the heart. I mean, this
exactly, it's shocking.
Escalation of trauma chart.
Yeah, and they show the human body, the key areas that they would need to hit in order to basically kill people. And again, you know,
they also say target the genitals. That's good. Go ahead.
We talked about it when the 2010 document, which came out 2 years later, got released. There was this huge wave of denial from people saying, this is for foreign occupation, this is not domestic, even though they said over and over again, CONUS within the continental United States. Yes, it's also for outside, but it's also for inside the United States. So just to get ahead of that expected denial, it says it's for domestic as well as foreign occupation. And they talk about how posse comitatus and the Constitution of the United States does not apply, that's the quote, under the exception where the right of the U.S. government to ensure the preservation of public order and carrying out governmental operations within its territorial limits by force, if necessary, under emergency authority, a sudden and unexpected civil disturbance, disaster, or calamity. So this is domestic.
I am just speechless at this point. I knew when I went in '99 to Marine Corps training urban warfare operations in San Francisco and Oakland. They were training to confiscate guns and training to execute patriots, but then they would parade black people around in front of the news cameras and say, oh, it's for inner city people using underlying racism, but then the real training was for patriots, and I learned that from police chiefs and others. So now we see a long-term plan that they've had since Clinton preparing to go operational. There's got to be some way to stop this, Paul, because once the military starts a civil war with the patriots, because first it'll be against the quote, minorities, who will be ordered by the Democrats to go out and burn and riot, but then they'll subside, then the real war starts against the patriots. This is a total nightmare, Paul. You can see the master plan. I'm skipping this network break. It's so important. I'm skipping this network break. Paul, I am just speechless right now. And I'm also speechless. I'm not bragging. It's so scary that we have accurately, and no one else has, literally predicted the entire paradigm and actually figured out what they would pull. And for those that don't understand, they're going to come after the Liberty Movement, claiming that we will start blowing up federal facilities or attacking minority groups. So they'll use the race war as the pretext to come in as the referee. And again, the military and the police, they're in the middle of it too. They're compartmentalized just like we are. They will then stage false flags to blame it on the Liberty Movement. That will escalate the rioting. And then the answer will be take out the leaders. And they will literally arrest me, Ron Paul, Ted Cruz. Rick Perry's already going to jail today, or tomorrow he's got to go to jail. I mean, we're all just going to go to jail. And by the way, I'm not joking about this. People say, well, I thought you don't like Rick Perry. Rick Perry was a Democrat before. Rick Perry talks a lot of good talk, but waffles. But compared to Obama, I mean, he's not bad. It doesn't matter. If Republicans were arresting innocent Democrats, filmmakers, if they were going into Democrat churches and taking their 501c3s, if the Republicans were involved in a political purge of Republicans or Democrats, I would come out against it. So there's the backdrop of Dinesh D'Souza getting arrested, the IRS going after pro-life groups, MSNBC saying, of course we're going after you, you're racist. MSNBC saying, I'm behind the Boston bombing with no proof. They crossed a Rubicon, folks. It means they've been given authorizations to lose lawsuits. It means that they know a future's coming where lawsuits won't matter. They've taken off the gloves. They've put battle axes in their hands. They're not just taking gloves off, folks. They are a criminal group taking over, and that's why so many Republican leaders go, sure, you can put our troops under UN control. Sure, you can open the borders up if you want to without even an executive order. Sure, you can do whatever you want because they're going for broke and they've decided to go along with it. They're being blackmailed. Paul, we have predicted all of this. We have covered all of this. Undoubtedly, this is them preparing to move. We may be able to back them off. Cooler heads may prevail. But I got to tell you, the general public's so ignorant. A lot of these welfare queens are so arrogant and they're so racially hateful. They just love it. They're walking right into a trap. Do you have any idea how to turn this around, Paul Watson?
I think the only hope is to reach out to people within the police, the National Guard and the military. Similar to, you know, the wave of police brutality has had the effect of making some police wake up to the fact that people's constitutional rights need to be respected, which is why we see more and more examples of, you know, when people are out filming the police, some of those officers come up and say, no, I totally understand. You've got a right to film the police. I've got no problem with that, because of the videos they've seen on YouTube about people getting harassed for it. So I think the more exposed this information becomes, the more that people within the police and the military will wake up to it, and that'll obviously have an effect on their own individual behavior and the choices they make. But you were talking earlier about how this is being applied domestically. Remember Concord City, New Hampshire, when they applied for the grant for the armored Bearcat vehicle last year, the police chief specifically said that it was needed to, quote, cope with the threat posed by libertarians and Occupy activists in the region. That's
right. They mix libertarians and Tea Partiers in with Al-Qaeda, you name it. That's because the main training, the Justice Department has said, is for returning veterans, Christians, gun owners, libertarians, mainline conservatives, constitutionalists. We're not telling people this in a vacuum. You know, Joe Rogan said to me, he goes, I can't believe 15, 16 years ago, you told me the NSA was spying on me, how they were doing it. You told me they were preparing for martial law, and now it's all coming true. You know, you must have a crystal ball. And I said, no, Job. I've got the documents. It's all in the RAND Corporation National Stabilization Force plan. And the point is the globalists engineer the destabilization to then sell the takeover. Just like they ship the drugs in to destabilize the country as a pretext to take control of the society.
It goes as far back as the 80s, doesn't it, Alex, with Rex 84, because they were talking about locking people up who were considered national security threats. That was a quote, under the auspices of a national emergency. The U.S. Army War College 2008 warned the United States may experience massive civil unrest in the wake of a series of crises which it termed strategic shock, and that's in relation to an economic collapse, which again, people are talking about another economic collapse in the works. So it's not as if this is a secret. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for the documents to be released, but we're merely quoting from the documents, and then we see events like Ferguson unfold. So yeah, we don't have a crystal ball. We're just paying attention to what the government's doing behind the scenes. And
let's not forget, they're not preparing for contingencies. They're saying this will happen while the border is completely wide open. And we'll all have this big distraction now of more demonstrations, riots, looting, as the most unsavory, elements of thug life show up now, the MTV culture, with all their liberal fellow travelers to promote the rioting and looting. This is just a disaster upon a disaster. And we all got a taste for the Washington Post reporter being arrested, our reporters peacefully out there being attacked, of what the police are ready to do, playing right into the hands of this whole disaster. And this is all so the globalists can rob the country blind. Paul Watson, I'm going to let you go so you can get that report up. If you can get it done by overdrive, I can hardly even broadcast right now, folks. This is so epic. This is so huge. Try to get your article out by the end so I can have you on for another 15, 20 minutes of overdrive so that we have a special report to show the document and go over for people. I'm going to let you go, Paul. Get your basic report up right now. Put in there how we predicted it, my video from July 17th, where I said they're going to stage race riots, bring in martial law that way, stage the terror attacks, blame it on the Tea Party, and then they're going to try to come after me and others. And I'm so sick of it. I appreciate you, Paul.
All right, thanks, Alex.
It's like a marathon. I've been doing this 19 years. And I've had special forces try to set fires and blame them on me in Florida. I've had so much stuff. I won't even get into all the stuff I've seen. It's just the public has no idea how much danger we're in. This is real. And I hope all the people at Salon and the Huffington Post and all you guys that make jokes about this and, Alex Jones, ha, ha, ha. Look, it's all true. The NSA spying, the cancer viruses and the vaccines, all of it. I know a lot of you know this. You plan on the authoritarian takeover. You're actually just purely evil people. But a lot of you aren't. You're trendy liberals that got hired to be part of this. You've gone along with it. You do not want to go along with this, okay? I'm warning you. This is so dangerous. This is so evil. This is so bad. We've got to stop the Civil War. I'll tell the police, too. I think 300,000 of you are going to get killed during this, conservatively. Please support the broadcast. Spread the word about it. 10% off everything at InfoWarsStore.com with promo 10 at ends tonight at midnight. Please support us.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered with the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment weapon of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Or call 1-888-253-3139.